everybody, it's Friday night. I'm Troy Lavallee, and it's time for Chaos. Folks, I have known Noura Ibrahim for a few years now. We have become pretty close friends, I'd say, even though we live 3,000 miles apart. We play a lot of games together. Yeah. We occasionally hang out outside of shows, and we talk very quickly. You are way into tarot cards, and I don't think I knew this about you. Tell me about your interest in tarot cards. How did this come to be? Do you have them read for you? Do you read them?
So this is a very complicated answer because I've never I had a tarot card. I got my first tarot card deck when I was maybe in middle school, and I got kind of scared of it and put it down for years because every time I would go pick this up, it would be warm. And then I'm like, no. I never touched one for a while. And then I started playing. They only came up again as I was playing Curse of Strahd campaigns because I had a Tarot deck. And we did this campaign, Black Dice Society, and my character was in College of the Spirits. I was a College of the Spirits bard / warlock. And so I got a Tarot deck, and every single time for 60 episodes and then several spin-offs of one-shots, they were never wrong. And so it's kind of gotten me into, again, kind of I'm not very knowledgeable. I'll do a very simplified version every once in a while. But yeah, it's kind of freaky. I did one for our episode 1 and sent the email out to everybody, and it was kind of freaky. So yeah, and then I haven't even really looked through this deck fully yet, but I do have a Call of Cthulhu themed tarot deck. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this has been this is a new adventure for season 2 of Time for Chaos.
I have 3 questions. One, you said that they're never wrong. So when you get a tarot reading or when you do a tarot reading, you're pretty much guided towards a sort of not like a premonition or this is what's going to happen to you, and then it happens? That's my first question.
For that specific, for a tarot deck, they have a very specific thing that has been directly tied to the outcome of what's happened in our story. Sometimes right away, sometimes way down the line, it's happened. And then our DM has had to remind the audience, so remember when Noura pulled that deck and I said this, and I could always see on his face, the reaction of because that was he knew, we didn't know. And it was just always weird and creepy, but it made it kind of fun.
Talk to me about what you read for the first episode, because you emailed us this all afterwards.
Right.
And
let me find.
You pulled it before we started, but then you didn't tell us.
Yeah, I pulled it and I was like, hey, and I just forgot to mention it but if I find, here we go. So, every time you pull, it has this little guide where it'll tell you what the thing means, but it'll also give you a little kind of Lovecraftian blurb on what it is. So the Lovecraftian blurb is the general what you're looking at in the card, but the meaning, I pulled the 4 of Swords, and it said the interpretation of it said, things to consider. The 4 of Swords is a message to take time out of your day and rest. In order to take time for yourself, it is important to retreat to a place where you find serenity. This allows your mind to heal and refresh. This is a place where you can contemplate your morality and life choices. Thanks, Seja. It is meditative. It's a meditative time when you can get in touch with your center and contemplate your values and goals, just like Wilcox. And so it's the character Wilcox that was on the card. Mm-hmm. Taking time to rest could mean a difference between madness and sanity. Take time to retreat in solitude and reflect. And all of last episode was us regaining sanity points and seeing how it is that we rested and contemplated our next choice moving on for this season. It's wild.
And the 4 of Swords, there's 4 of you, perhaps the swords in the dark, trying to stop the whatever's going on here. I mean, that is crazy. So my final question is, I think you need to do another reading, but not tell us. Like, do it right now while I ask them some questions. But I don't want to know, because if I know, it's going to influence how I run the game. And I want to know if we're going to hit this. So you do this while I ask. Have you guys, Kate, Rob, Ross, have you ever had got into fortune reading or having your tarot read?
I would read the horoscope in the newspaper when I was a kid.
Yeah, I was a big horoscope guy. Yeah,
that's about it.
You never walked by a fortune teller and
I've walked
said,
by
"Here's $300. Tell me everything about me. Who am I going to marry?"
No, I don't want to know too much about my own future.
I see. I'm reading Noura's expression, and I'm very curious to see what's in store for us.
I'll tell you what the card is, because you won't know what the interpretation is just upon seeing it. So I'll read what the card is, and then maybe next episode we could start with the interpretation.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So I pulled the sun card, but it's upside down.
Ooh, inverted sun.
I'm going to throw up. That is insane.
I don't know what this means right now. This is a new deck to me entirely, so we'll revisit what this means later.
There was a sun situation in the last episode. There was the vision of the sun flashing out.
That's right.
I forgot.
Tentacles coming through
Tentacles
the
came
eclipse
out of
sun.
the corona of the sun or something.
I forgot.
Right.
A sun shining darkness as if it were a sun reversed.
I hate it. I don't. I'm already creeped out.
Oh boy.
Kate, I know you're way into horoscopes. Did you ever get any fortune read?
Horoscopes are fun in an introspective way. I've never gotten living in Woodstock, I have so many palm readers or juju, whatever, people who want to read whatever about me. And I always mean to go and do, I want to do one of the Polaroids where they do the auras. I think that's cool. But I haven't done it. And also with tarot, before we knew what card was pulled last time, I always thought of it as you see the card and you see what it means and you kind of interpret it. Maybe you kind of lead yourself to being yes, this makes sense. I thought it was how I look at horoscopes where it's introspective a bit, but that description was exactly what we did.
That's
in that
wild.
Episode.
Yeah, Wilcox is from the Call of Cthulhu. He's a character in the Call of Cthulhu story. And the only reason I know that, we were just talking about the Chaosium puts out the Dr. Seuss versions of H.P. Lovecraft classics. And in the Call of Cthulhu one that I got from Brian Holland, they mentioned Wilcox and go into the whole story. Pretty wild. Ross, I could see you sitting down to some beach tarot reader along the Venice boardwalk.
Yes. Just shambling in with my cruiser bike kicked jauntily outside. I'm fascinated by all that stuff, but I haven't indulged. When I was a kid, I got a book on palmistry and tried to learn how to do it so I could read my friends' palms, which was fun. But I'm interested in just the way that those all feed the Imaginarium and how how much of divination is it incepting a symbolic framework into your mind that then you begin to read into your experience or onto the past, or who knows, maybe it is truly interpreting future events. But yeah, palmistry, tarot, astrology, and my favorite kind, the haruspex or haruspicy, which is the reading of the future by looking at the entrails of sacrificed animals.
Of course.
Like they used to do in ancient Rome.
What the hell was I just going to say? Tarot.
I'll say one thing.
Yeah.
I did get into it once. My wife got a book. I'm looking it up now. It's there's a Madame Clairvoyant. She's I think she writes horoscopes for, let's see, maybe New York Magazine. She wrote a book. And each chapter is dedicated to each sign of the zodiac. Mm-hmm. And I've always been what the fuck? It doesn't fucking matter when you were born. Your personality isn't dictated by the stars. Go fuck yourself. But I read the Leo chapter and I was shook. I was just the whole time I was no. It was just everything it was saying was the dark side and the light side, like everything about being that specific. And then I read What About My Kid, and I was even more horrified. But
God, and honestly, Rob, that is such a Leo thing to say.
exactly. It won't stop.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, obviously there are people that are way into this, and then the other side is just, that's hokum. But the more you play these games, these sort of eldritch horror games, you'd be surprised at how many strange occurrences happen. Obviously, we have another show that deals with Lovecraftian horror, and the stuff that happens like during the show, doors closing, phones ringing, and the more you like sort of tap into this, even in a fun, imaginative way, it almost as if we're opening a door to something else. So I'll be interested to see what this Sun has to say about this episode. Last week we jumped back in. We're playing the Masks of Nyarlathotep campaign, greatest campaign ever written. Big shout out to our sponsor this season, Chaosium, the publisher of Call of Cthulhu, my favorite role playing game. I haven't played it in so long. I got to play a couple special games throughout the year, and I always say I wish I could play it every week. And now I can again. So we caught up with our investigators after probably the craziest day of their life, after they infiltrated the Juju house at the end of the New York part of our story, and took down, I guess you could say, successfully defeated the cult of the bloody tongue, but the body count was crazy, and the sort of reverberations and how it affected the lives of so many people will continue on long past your time as you move on from New York. And we caught up with our heroes to see like how those events affected them, and we checked in with I'm just looking at my notes here. We checked in with Vaughn Villiers, who was seeking therapy by going to confession after perhaps seeing the atrocities of war and losing his faith. His experiences in Peru and New York have kind of thrust him right back into strong faith, but a perverted faith that is constantly being challenged by his dwindling sanity. And he speaks to a priest, talking about trying to discern whether or not these demons he sees are real. And the priest, rather than being like, no, it's just a figure of imagination, just sort of cemented like, oh, they're real and it's your fault. You need to do something about this.
Catholics.
Very Catholic way. Yep. We see Carter at Myrtle's funeral, just sort of peeking like Bill Murray and Rushmore, like looking, cigarette dangling from his mouth,
Miss
not
Piggy
wanting to.
and Muppets Take Manhattan.
Just kind of with the shades on. And perhaps a figure, maybe a member of this mob that is looking for him, pulling up and almost catching him. But Carter, I think you nat 1'd on a D100 to stealth out of there. Then we see Feyruz sort of poring over these tomes, got all of these dangerous tomes in the basement of the Juju house, and kind of lost and looking for some sort of relief, perhaps in the arms of a one-night lover. We catch up again with Carter trying to visit Margot at her bedside. Margot had suffered these horrible wounds, and then went to the initiation at the order, and then realized, I need to get to a hospital, checks herself into a hospital, puts on the mask, sees crazy visions. Vaughn is staying vigil by her bedside, and Carter comes to visit and sees Vaughn there, and he goes in and she's sleeping. And just as they're sort of starting to talk, Gunter comes in. This was a former art teacher of Margot's that turned lover. As Margot became more wrapped up in the world of Jackson Elias, their relationship sort of seems like it's kind of cooled off, and Gunter, hearing of Margot in the hospital, rushed to her bedside and said, I want to take you away. I want to take you to an artist retreat, get back to your roots. And it's pretty clear that he's also saying, let's get us back together and get you away from whatever you're doing right now that has landed you in the hospital. And, it seems like Margot is pretty content to stay on the case. We see her at the artist retreat just painting a vision of someone wearing that horrible mask. And then we end on Vaughn getting up, leaving the confessional, and just seeing black ooze come out of the grates where the priest was. Now we're going to get into it. We talked about where we're going next, and we're going to London. You have a few leads that have led you to choosing England as the next logical stop. You know that London is the last city that Jackson Elias visited before he returned to New York in a strange mindset and was murdered almost immediately. But let's go over a little bit of housekeeping. I talked last week at the beginning of last episode, we're going to do this kind of a therapy session and then this spending time with your backstory connection. And then we just started role-playing and as usual, something beautiful happened. So I'm not going to get too much into the ticky-tack of it. Everybody roll a D6 and give that to yourself in sanity. That's for last week's role-play. No sanity roll necessary. No D3. Just roll a D6 and let the elder gods decide what you get back. And may all your sixes be natural.
Heck yeah.
And then after you are either happy or sad at that roll or content, go ahead and give yourself a luck improvement roll. Once again, you're trying to roll over your luck score, trying to fail at your luck score essentially. And if you do, roll a D10 and add it to your current luck.
Does luck reset at all outside of this? Because I'm looking at mine, I just realized my luck is 3.
Your luck is 3. No, luck does not reset. Like it is your luck, you're basically, you need to, but what's good about that is you're going to always fail this roll.
Yeah.
So you're going to get that D10. So you're going to build back your luck. Right now, if luck is a spectrum, you're on this end and you may be on that end for a while. And then all of a sudden your luck may come around. I think there are things in the game like we did last week where you regain those sanity points where you can, there's certain things you can tick to get luck back in the sort of development phases. But overall, it's just like a per session thing. And you'll probably succeed on these checks now for every session, getting a D10 back every time.
So we're adding a D10 roll to our luck?
Yeah, so you roll a D100. If you roll over your current luck score, then you get to add a D10 to your luck.
Cool. All right.
If you roll under your luck, you're lucky enough. That's what mighty
question.
Nyarlathotep has decided.
My hit points, I'm still under half my hit points because I rolled bad in the hospital and I'm deciding to not stay in the hospital. Yes,
this was next on my little checklist here. So you are still suffering from a major wound. So pretty much, I think we could say if you spent a weekend at the retreat and you're going to kind of take it easy on the boat ride, you can do another con roll to see if you get that hit point back, and you probably will. But I would say right now, it's really just role-playing wise. You've left the hospital probably a little earlier than you should. And so think about what that means. Did you want to check in and see if there was any spark there with Gunter anymore? Or are you just like throwing caution to the wind and getting on this boat to England or whatnot? But you are injured and you really should be getting serious care. So we'll deal with the mechanics later.
Are we able to do first aid during the boat ride?
Yes, first aid, I don't think... Well, yeah, actually, first aid, you can, in combat, you can deal with major wounds. We'll worry about the mechanics of that when we get onto the boat, because the boat is going to be, it takes you like a week, I think, anywhere from like 5 to 9 days, depending on the weather, to get from New York to the station that will eventually get you to London. You'll actually have some options that I'll talk about, but on the boat, yeah, I think long story short, you're going to recover from this, but right now, the role-playing wise, you're not in good shape. And Vaughn, where you're still suffering from indefinite and temporary insanity, the good thing about boat trips is that doctors would prescribe these boat trips as like a way to cure everything that ails you.
It's like a floating
Good for the
sanitarium.
humans.
It's good for the humans, yes. And so as long as the boat trip is uneventful, you will be cured of your indefinite insanity for now.
But even though I've received a fair amount of sanity back, I'm still indefinitely insane.
You're still kind of you're much better than you were when you were trying to throw Carter into the Chakotay pit. But yeah, you are still have that underlying insanity.
Good to know.
That will, by the time you reach London, you'll be a new man as long as
Of course.
a dragon doesn't attack the ship.
What could go wrong?
All right, a dragon with 3 zombies on its back. Then it's probably going to be a setback for you.
No Lovecraftian horrors live in the ocean, right?
No, that's not how it's done.
What could go wrong? All right, so let's talk about the leads that you do have. You found a business card in Jackson Elias's apartment, if you remember, for the director of the Penhew Foundation, someone named Edward Gavigan, and the Penhew Foundation is located in London. Sir Aubrey Penhew, of course, was the main man behind the foundation before he joined the Carlisle expedition and went off and died or disappeared. Obviously, Jackson would have had some interest into looking into Sir Aubrey. That's probably why he has this card. So that's one lead that you have. And then I mentioned last week that you'd want to check in with Jonah Kensington and Carlton Ramsey to, see if they know anything of what Jackson was doing in London now that you've decided that's where you're going to go. So I'm just going to, in the interest of popping and locking, just kind of, I want to get you to Jonah Kensington and Carlton Ramsey to talk to them, unless there was any other business that you wanted to do before the 4 of you met up for your appointment with Jonah and Carlton. And no is fine.
My only question was, did we feel like at the end of season 1, did we get like a sitcom-style apartment together? Just so I know.
Well, it seems like you went to Massachusetts, as did Feiruz, and then Margot was in the hospital. So, Vaughn, do you think did you just check into a different room at the Waldorf, maybe move to a different hotel after your incidentals were charged through the roof for the giant hole in the wall?
Yes, maybe I got a room to let in Manhattan somewhere that we can all use as an office and a flop house if needs be.
All right, so as you guys are trickling back into New York or coming down from upstate after it kind of works out perfect that you all just said, let's take a couple days. And then Margot's like, I gotta do something, goes to the initiation. She's like, I need to go to the hospital. Vaughn finds out, goes there. Like it all has it very logically works out. But now you're back in New York. You reach out to Vaughn, and you guys are starting to make plans to do this. So we don't need to play out all of that. I think it's fair to say that you contacted Jonah and Carlton, or they contacted you. So let's get you into their office, and Jonah and Carlton are there. Once again, Jonah is the publisher of Prospero House. He was Jackson Elias's main publisher and very close friend. Carlton Ramsey is the lawyer who is handling the will and estate of a Jackson Elias. When he came back from London, he changed his whole will to basically give his fortune, everything in his life, to you guys to continue, investigating the Carlisle expedition. And so the 2 of them are there, and Jonah, if I can remember everyone's voices, I think he had a very New York-y type voice. He's like, I've been thinking a lot about everything ever since you had mentioned that you're going to go to London, go across the pond. And, I know you were close with Jackson. He was just that type of guy. He made everybody feel like they were your best. He was your best friend. But having heard everything you told me about what happened, and thinking about everything you probably didn't tell me with regards to what happened up in Harlem, I just want you to know you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. Jackson was a rare breed. He was a man. He got caught up in things, and it led to what it led to. But if he's wrong about all this stuff, or worse, if he's right, it just seems like you could be walking in his footsteps all the way to the grave. And Carlton is like, yes, I can understand you wanting to, sort of complete his dying wish, but we fear for your safety. We will support you in any way you want, but I agree with Jonah. The choice is yours.
Well, I mean, I think we've had a few days here. You guys don't know the things that we've seen, man. Stuff. We're gonna spare you the details, but just know we appreciate it. But I think now more than ever, we need to keep Jackson's dream alive.
The train has left the station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There
The
really
boat's
is, yeah.
about to leave the dock. Really.
That's true.
The boat is leaving the harbor.
No turning
you're-
back at this point.
Yes, Mr. Elias was terribly kind to us, both in Peru to maintain his friendship with all of us, and we'd be doing a disservice to his mission and his memory if we were to leave his work undone. We've trod too far. There is no going back now. This is not so much a matter of duty, this is now a calling, from which we must not turn.
I understand. And that's what we assumed you would say. It had to be said that this isn't necessarily your fight or anyone's fight. Anyways, you had asked about what he was doing in London. You know, he was pretty wrapped up in his research over the last year that we spoke, and as we all know now, hindsight being what it is, he was in way over his head. He had been sending me letters from all over, updating me on his studies into the Carlisle expedition. But with regards to London in particular, he arrived there in late November of last year. Just gives you an idea. I'd say it's probably beginning of February now. We can work out the ticky-tack of, it's February 3rd, 3 o'clock. It's first week of February right now. So he arrived there in late November of last year, and December 16th was when he sent me a frantic telegram letting me know he was heading back to New York. He boarded a freighter named the Phalarope, headed for New York, and then he reached out to you on January 3rd, I think, and he got back here on January 13th, and 2 days later was the incident at the Chelsea Hotel. When he got back, before, you obviously saw him, we talked a little bit, but he was all over the place, like I said when we were going over his papers. And I pretty much told you everything that I remembered when first we spoke, but now that I know that you're going to England, I started thinking about the specifics of what he told me when he went there, looking through my notes, and there were two things in particular that came to mind. He had mentioned that he had spent some time talking to an editor of a local paper called The Scoop, a guy by the name of Mickey Mahoney out in London. It sounds like he was pretty helpful. I have the address here, and he hands you a piece of paper. I would suggest by probably starting by chatting with him, because Jackson spoke pretty highly of him, said he was helpful and eager. I get the sense The Scoop is sort of a sensationalist rag, so Jackson and this guy must have hit it off, but Jackson seemed to like him. And he also mentioned speaking to an Inspector Barrington of Scotland Yard, but he never said why. When Jackson maybe could have gotten into trouble. I don't know if Scotland Yard would have been after him, but he was poking his nose around everywhere. So it makes
don't
sense.
worry, we're great with cops.
Good. How are you with British cops?
I imagine we'll be fine. We got Vaughn to translate. Plus, they've got those cute little nipple hats, and they don't even have guns, right? They just have little sticks, little British sticks. Johnnies, I think they call them, something like that. Vaughn,
Plus, they're not even supposed to react to you. Oh, wait, no, those are the...
those are the guys with the fur
Those are the
hats.
That's the
gods,
Royal
yes.
Guard.
That's
Yes,
the Royal Guard.
I'll have time to acclimatize my American cousins here to the customs of the British
can't wait.
constabulary in the interim. So much to say that to get not to get the other side of Tillinghass's face caved in by a constable's truncheon, but we'll do our best. And if this Inspector Barrington was a friend of Elias, then we'll meet up with him. Though I dare say we've had our problems with the coppers here in the States.
Yeah, it's unclear what their relationship was. He just mentioned that was one of the stops that he made. I'm sure he was looking into something there. But Mahoney, he did say was a good guy. And
An Irishman?
I believe so, yeah, Irishman working in London.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'll have to do that accent, I'm sure.
I'm sure he's pumped to be living in London.
Yeah. Well, London's, it's a weird place right now, as you'll hear about when you arrive in a flavor text. But here, do you guys need some English to English dictionaries? These could come in handy.
Cockney rhyming slang book would be great.
Fun fact, I'm not British at all. This is the only reason why I have this accent is because of my boarding school. Made us talk like this.
Transatlantic.
Clearly, Misha Braun has been finished in the most elegant fashion imaginable. So I think we'll be able to move in the most reputable of company, and also to slum it with the writers of the Scoop.
Good. Carlton says, I obviously I'm handling the money and whatever you need, within reason. I have for this leg of the expedition. I would assume, just in tracing everything that Jackson was up to, I can't imagine that your journey is going to end in London. So I'm not going to give you everything, but if you run into a situation where you need more, you reach out and I'll wire it over to you. I'm sure I can get there within a couple of days. We have contacts there. Even though I'm going to be over here or we're going to be over here, whatever you need, if you're in this for Jackson, we're in this for Jackson. We may be telling you don't do it because we fear for your safety, but we're in it. We're in it just as much as you are. We're just not feet on the ground. But whatever you need, you reach out to us, and we'll take care of it.
Cool.
It's ever so kind of you.
And Mr. Kensington, Jonah, let me just spare you. I know you're probably too embarrassed to ask. What this means, this trip to England, is that there will be additional chapters that can be added to The Adventures of Carter Tillinghast and Pals. As you know, the pulp novel I've been working on for days now.
Right, you're still working on that, huh?
Oh, still working on it, and it's just getting bigger, which I think is going to help sales, because people can use it for any number of... You can hammer in a nail with it, you can read it and be thrilled by it, titillated by it. You can also, just any number of other large, heavy uses that you need.
Or set your mug of coffee on it.
Yep. Yeah, it's
yes,
useful.
We use it to prop a door open in the summer.
Yeah.
Mr. Tillinghast, I got to say, when you first said you were going to write a memoir, I just was humoring you, but knowing what little I know of what has gone on so far since Jackson's death, I think that what you would be writing would be something of interest to many people. So you keep at it, and we'll talk when you're done.
Carter goes like slack-jawed. Like he's actually completely caught off guard. But oh my god. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, great. So, shit.
Tillinghast. I believe at one time the working title of your work was The Adventures of Carter Tillinghast and His Unhelpful Acquaintances.
Yeah,
have we been promoted to pals?
Yeah, I think we're in the pal zone now.
Excellent.
The pal zone.
Delightful.
All right. Anything else we can be of service to before you go? Otherwise, just reach out. We're here, and if there's anything you need, appointments or connections to people back home, consider us your home base here, not only in New York but in the United States.
Yes. Well, if there is trouble, we'll reach out to you. But until such time, let's keep things mum. It is comforting to me to know that there is a brotherhood of help that extends across the Atlantic, even to find its tendrils there in London. But rest assured, Mr. Kensington, there is a brotherhood of unknown size and quality lurking in every corner of the globe. We have but seen one of its appendages, but its ranks are legion.
Yeah, okay, all right, Fawn.
Margot gets really shifty-eyed. Margot's looking at him like, huh? Shifty-eyed.
Fears just hands him a flask.
Yes, thank you. Tonic for my nerves.
We're in tip-top shape, as you can see. Let's get
right for the job.
Yes, let's get going. And Margot stands up and limps towards the door.
Leaking.
You guys walk out and leave them, and Carlton just looks at Jonah as like, He sounds like Jackson did at the end. I know. I'm worried about them getting hurt, but I'm also worried about them with him, meaning Vaughn. We fade out of that scene. You just hear sloshing water. We see the ocean. No buildings anywhere in the distance, just wide open ocean as far as the eye can see. And we pull back from there, and the four of you are on a boat. There's a number of different ways to get to London. Obviously, international air travel wasn't available for most of the 1920s, so an ocean voyage is really the only way. A lot of history nerds or people who like really get way into the like nitty gritty of how everything actually worked may be interested to know that the leading operators are the White Star Line to Southampton or the Cunard Line to Liverpool, both offering first, second, and third class accommodation, depending on each of your funds, or you can continue to mooch off of Port Vaughn and have first class accommodations across the board. The crossing takes around 4 to 9 days, like I said, depending on the weather, and you'll set sail from New York, and you can decide if you want to take the White Star Line to Southampton or the Cunard Line to Liverpool. Either way, you can catch a train from either of those stations into London, and the train from both Southampton and Liverpool is about a half day's travel from there. So you're looking at anywhere from 5 to 10 days-ish to get into London.
That's
proper.
shorter than I thought.
Right? As I was reading, I was like, before I chose to do this, I looked at Horror on the Orient Express, which is the other one of these seminal fucking masterpieces. And it is all what I just said. Like, the whole thing is like, let's talk about what a first-class cabin looks like. 20 pages. I mean, it's
granular travel text. Is this what you dorks like?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You want to know about the China? We got the fucking China for you.
You want to know what the wallpaper was like? Oh, we know you freaks.
Here's Kenneth Branagh's fucking mustache for you.
I think they're doing a full-on, like, updated version of it coming out soon, and they just came out, Chaosium, with a board game version of it as well, which I would be way into if I ever had time to do anything. But do you guys have any preference? Do you want to go to Liverpool or Southampton?
I don't know the difference.
I literally do not know the difference.
Let me ask you, has anyone been to London or spent significant time in London? I'll start. No. I haven't, nor do I have any interest.
Oh, as a real person. Because I was going to say maybe Margot stopped there, but Caitlin has never been over
as a
there.
real person. I know nothing about London. Nothing.
No.
I shouldn't say I wouldn't want to go. I think I'd want to check it out.
I want to go. I just haven't gone.
I've only been for like 3 days on a multi-trip, but not outside of London.
I want to buy some clothes there. I feel like,
like
London's made for the tall thin men.
Amen to that. One day, Rob and I will go there and get Savile Road up.
Yeah, exactly.
The tall, thin man.
Yeah.
Ross, have you spent any time in London?
A little bit. Like, I took a trip there, just a couple of really short trips there. But I feel like I may have brought up on this show before, like, years and years ago, I worked on a cruise ship, and for a period of that time, it ported out of Southampton.
Okay.
Oh.
That's where we gotta go then.
You got to go to Southampton because you can add a little flavor.
Fuck Beatles. We're not going to Liverpool.
We can avoid Liverpool.
But then we don't
might
get to
our
hear.
throats cut and our pockets picked by stevedores down at the wharf.
We don't get to hear Troy's Liverpool accent, though.
Oh, don't worry. There'll be time enough for that.
Spoiler alert, all my British accents are going to sound the same.
No.
And terrible. Let's talk about firearms. I don't want to get way into the weeds with this. They have 7 pages on how I could deal with this. I don't care. But I will say, you can't just bring guns into another country and be like, is this cool? Can I have all of these?
Just sawed-off shotgun?
Is this all
This
right?
is why I love America. Like,
Right. Bring us your tired, your poor, your guns. But
Do you not have a gun? Here.
Oddly enough, you don't need a permit for a shotgun because it's considered a hunting weapon. So your options are, and again, I'm not going to get into the weeds with this. They give you a lot of like, have them roll a check to hide their gun. Whatever you want to do, we'll figure it out later. But like, you can either try to sneak your guns in, fast talk to a customs agent, which might be tricky and may lead you into trouble, or use the fact that you know a local like Vaughn who may be able to acquire guns for you once you get there. Because even getting a permit as an outsider once you get into London to then get a gun would take a while. So just think about that. Let me know what you want to do and we'll move on. But honestly, Margot, if you wanted to, you could have your sawed-off shotgun. And be
That's
like,
all I want.
I'm hunting boar in the streets of London. So you're
One
on
uses
this
a
boat.
sawed-off shotgun for quail season.
Yes, quail. This is quail season in early March.
Tiny quails exploding.
It shoots multiple at the same time.
Yes, you need a scatter shot to kill 7 quail at once.
It's good to know that the excuse for "I need it for hunting" still existed back then too.
It was a simpler time.
You never know when 7 wild boars are just going to show up.
You don't want to not have a shotgun. That's all I'll
Yeah.
say. When there's a zoo explosion. You guys are on this boat. I don't want to presume, but I imagine, especially with Carter Tillinghast in the group, you're still mooching off of Vaughn to get the best in class. Or are you
Of
like,
course.
guys, let's just be frugal and do third class?
No, what?
I feel like Vaughn's a little preoccupied at the moment, so maybe if Vaughn doesn't mind, I certainly would not.
We might as well live.
You want
While
me to
we're
be
living.
We don't know when we're gonna die. You want me to fucking
Yeah.
go third class for 5 to 10 days?
Yes, I
Exactly.
suppose you're right. Perhaps the comforts of the flesh might serve us in good stead since we're going into a time of uncertainty and privation.
For our sanity.
And Margot needs a comfortable place to rest.
Yes.
Yes, Margot is hurt.
And given the events that have befallen the White Star Line over the past 30 or so years, perhaps a first-class cabin is preferable to steerage.
What has happened?
All right,
Have you heard of the Titanic?
Large boat.
That was that line?
Yes, I believe. If I'm not mistaken.
Although there's a theory
Wait,
that there was
was it the
another
White Star
Titanic.
Line?
I think so.
Did it already happen?
Yeah, right. That's the teens,
Oh.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right, Ross.
But there's no way it's ever going to sink again.
Something
No.
tells me it happened in 1912.
That's right. Yes.
The loss of the Titanic, 1912, the White Star Line. Yeah. So there, maybe you got a discount on the first class. They're trying to get business. The unsinkable White Star Line. All right, so you guys are luxurying it up, and as well you should. You know, when you think you're gonna die at any moment, you might as well live like there's no tomorrow, because there may not be. You guys have been all around in the past. Let's say it's been a week and a half ish since you are, since Juju House. Now you're all together heading to England, and this is the first time you're back together as a group. What is everyone? What's sort of the hubbub? Is it a little weird? Is anyone talking about it?
I think you got a sense of the way that Vaughn may be popping out with it there in the lawyer's office. But he's doing his best to keep a lid on it.
And that salt sea air is really making you feel a little bit more in the driver's seat, even after a couple days of sea.
Yes.
Carter's just like, I'm gonna fucking puke. I never been on a boat before. I know it sounds weird because I'm from Gloucester, but just never felt like it. Vaughn, you got any Dramamine?
What's it, Tillinghast? I tell you, if you want to orient yourself, there's nothing that'll get your internal gyroscope oriented like a glass of gin.
Okay, great. Yeah, just rub it behind my ears.
Feyruz will actually try rubbing it back. Oh, no, I didn't know if that was like a actual remedy.
I mean, at this point, put it under my nose too.
I think Feyruz at this point is just like, so has that thing where like you faced so much trauma that like real life seems weird. And so she was very happy to get back into this, mystery that we're trying to solve, because the real world just doesn't seem like she's even living in it.
Yes, you got the sense in that bar scene like there's really nothing for you in that world anymore.
Yeah.
You're just kind of sleepwalking through normal life.
I think
Margot.
I think Margot she's got like painkillers left over from the hospital and is a bit loopy while on the boat between relaxing and just like sauntering around when she can, maybe sketching, and honestly probably in good spirits during the downtime.
Would like early 1920s be around the time when they would be prescribing heroin for?
I don't know if it's like opiates or something. I mean, I'm sure. Like, didn't they put cocaine in everything? Like,
There was that. What was that show on Showtime with Clive Owen as the
the Nick?
of the century surge? Yeah, the Nick. Did you watch the Nick? The Nick was great.
A little bit.
Well,
Medical horror.
Yeah, it's medical horror. It was great. I think it only lasted a season or two, but
It's really cool.
he was like an addict as well, and it was right around the time when they started prescribing heroin. And he was
they definitely had like laudanum and all that shit.
Stuff is great.
I mean, that was happening before. I feel like that was in like Bram Stoker's Dracula. They were just fucking shooting up.
Pumping you full of opiates.
Favors, or rather, Noura, you asked, can we do anything to try and help Margot? Margot is in a if you're first class, you're in a restful situation, a restful place, which would give you a bonus die. You can, thanks to Michael behind the scenes here, says you can make a medicine check, and if you succeed, then Margot will get another bonus die. So just like you had in the hospital, you basically would be replicating the conditions of the hospital if you succeed on a medicine check. And then Kate, you would roll with 2 bonus die to try and...
So Fairuz would go to Margot. Fairuz has her like flask in her hand. She sees Margot taking a bunch of pills. Cheers.
Oh, cheers. Need something to wash this down with.
Oh, here you go. And she'll hand her the flask to wash down her pills. Because 1920s.
So one of us has to do a medicine check?
Yeah, I'll do one. Like, so I'm going over. Like,
mine's shitty.
How are you holding up?
Oh, I still have this annoying limp.
What exactly? I mean, everything was happening so fast, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to visit you at the hospital. What exactly? May I look?
Oh, yes. I don't quite remember what happened in the last episode where, like, was I like,
you got
impaled?
stabbed.
Yeah, I think you got
during
something in the gut or something.
That's what I was thinking I was remembering.
Yeah, so it's a big wound that is healed, but there's a lot of scar tissue and just red, and it's not like oozing, but it's enough so that it's like it started to heal, but you haven't recovered yet. And the only reason I know that is like because I just went through it after surgery. It's like, I mean, it looks fine, but I just want to lay down all day.
Well, we might just have to unwrap this and maybe just clean off the wound and redress it.
Let me find a fainting couch.
I'm gonna puke more.
I mean, we don't really have any medical supplies, but and the ship's rocky, but I'll do my best. I say as Noura has 50 points, so we're looking 50-50 here on now. We're gonna succeed here, but extreme success.
Roll
a
success.
7.
She's got some medical training
under
on roll 20.
50. Yeah, I like that. Ooh, this is nice. Ooh, you guys don't have to do these rolls, but they are kind of fun to see, especially the functionality of roll 20. All right, so 7 out of 50, extreme success. You're going to get 2 bonus die, and I would think you're going to pass this. So
she'll just pour some of her vodka onto this.
Ooh, that stings.
I'm sorry. It's okay. It's only going to sting for a little bit.
I fully trust you.
So you're going to do a con check. Yeah, if you get an extreme success, automatic. If you get a regular success, you heal 1 hit point, which is enough to remove your major wound. So I think you're pretty much fine.
And she gets the bonus die because Noura
2 bonus die.
Oh, 2
1
bonus.
for the first class accommodations. You're like on a nice little couch, and then another one.
Listen to me.
Okay,
my Constitution's 55. I rolled an 85.
Oh no.
A 65 and a 55.
Oh wow! Wait, so I think
My
you
con
made
is
it.
55.
And your con is 55, so that is a regular success. and you gain 1 hit point back.
Oh my God.
There's this like small part of my brain that says you have to go under it for this particular roll, but I think you're fine. And you get that hit point back. So you're still not at full. You just get 1 hit point. However, because what's your total hit points?
12.
So now that you're at 6, which is your halfway point, you've recovered from your major wound. So you're still down 6 hit points, but I will say over the course of between now and London, you'll be back at full. All of you,
Cool.
if you had taken any hit point damage. But it's when you have that major wound, you don't recover in a normal rate like everybody else.
Nice.
If you're used to playing D&D, it's a whole different ballgame. You're like, I just wand, potion. No, here it's like, wait 8 days and you'll get half of your hit points back.
Yeah. I'm impressed that you have 12 hit points. That's
Yeah.
What's
I
your
don't-
max there, Ross?
No, why?
Vaughn was wounded in the war, so it's taken down his
Got a bum leg.
taken down his somewhat. He's 9. A gentleman's 9.
A 9 max?
9 max.
Oh,
Yes.
shit.
Dang.
He's a fragile
Crazy.
creature at the moment.
Oh, fragile Vaughn.
Yes. Yeah, he's maybe like wrapping himself up in blankets, like near the promenade deck, reading Revelations of Divine Love or something. And also he's maybe snooping around to see if he can get a glimpse at life as a god.
The book. Sorry,
So
I thought
casually said.
that's the book, right?
That's a book, yeah. That's one of the books we got.
Carter wants to see if is there an improv troupe on this boat?
Is there entertainment?
The entertainment.
I want to see some musical improv, maybe some games.
If it's
Short
like
form.
the one I worked on,
Exactly.
it sure
yeah,
is.
that's what I want.
You go to the Spinnaker Lounge.
Yeah,
At
I want
5
to see some
PM.
new choice, and I want to see it now.
There are nightly performances by a jazz band.
Ugh, gross. It's the wrong kind of improv.
I mean, it's pretty nice. If you're in first class and you get the entry to these things, it's a nice little party.
Yes,
Again,
dress
it's
for
just
dinner.
like the trappings of normalcy. If you spend any time at these parties, though, you just keep getting flashes to that Erica Carlisle party. And you just like all those socialites and just how weird it was, and you knowing what you knew and wondering what she knew, and being in Carlisle's library trying to unlock like what led him to do all this.
Yes.
And father.
Father there canoodling with a young lady.
Like we're at the party, but we're like the goth kids in the corner who are like,
Yes.
these losers.
Yeah,
Not Vaughn, he's loving it. This is what he wants.
He's kind of bopping away, listening, but still clearly distracted, and occasionally, and you notice that he's nervous, maybe in a way you haven't clocked him. This doesn't look like insanity. It's more like he's just kind of looking around at all these other English people who are returning home. He's around more English folks than he's been around for a while.
Vaughn, you are being weird, like more weird than normal.
Oh, Fräulein, sir, you... doesn't it stir something in you, returning, as it were, not to the continent precisely, but to the arms of Europa?
I mean, if we were going to Germany, maybe I'd feel different, but I know that's not where we're going.
Yes. I've been away a great long time. When I returned back to Egil's Grange, my family estate, don't you know, I was rather sequestered. I've not really participated in the social life of the scene for quite some time.
What do you miss the most about home?
I'm afraid it may be things I'll never get back, but I miss I miss the way the sun comes through the orchards on Eagles Grange in springtime, the murmurs of the brooks and streams, the jolly little fields, stiles leading into cow pastures and the uncultivated earth. I don't feel particularly at home in the smoky environs of London, but and I confess that perhaps I'm a bit I've a bit of the edge at seeing Mother again, if, as no doubt you'll insist upon seeing me.
You are going to bring us to your estates.
I
We are invited.
Well, of course, but I don't know if our mission allows for a jaunt by train up to Oxfordshire.
I sensed a bit of...
If you want to see the old place.
There when you mentioned her, though. Do you not have a good relationship with your mother?
Oh, no, the best. I think, perhaps you and I, Mr. Braun, both know how complicated parents can be.
Very well indeed.
And he stares at you for a long time. Would you care to dance?
I would. And in Fairuz's mind, I think in this setting and the things that she's been dealing with, she wouldn't normally have said yes had it been anybody else, but there's something comforting about Vaughn's slight madness, because the chaos of this entire situation, because it is something that the four of us have so uniquely and intimately bonded over, this oddly is comforting. And so this, in its chaos and madness, is exactly the remedy that she needs for the moment.
It's kind of like, well, at least I'm not Vaughn. On my craziest day, at least I'm not Vaughn. Get over here, you crazy bastard.
So we'll go out there on the dance floor and feel the slight rocking of the sea as we take a turn about the floor.
Like the twirling of it and getting the slight dizziness of it is taking her away from the things that she's been feeling.
Yes.
Carter rolls up to Margot. He's like, they got a fucking water slide upstairs.
That sounds like a dream. I wish I could go. Did you go on it?
I'm thinking about it. I need to get, I've got my swimsuit. Yeah, I've got my swimsuit. It's the ones that, it goes down to my knees but up to my shoulders.
Yeah, the full singlet.
Yeah.
Let me know when you go down.
You want to go right now? I'm fucking drunk. Let's go.
Let's go.
Don't
I don't think they let us in there right now.
The midnight chocolate buffet, sir.
Woo!
If Fairuz and Vaughn are left sort of alone at the table for a little bit, Vaughn looks particularly nervous, like he's kind of like smoking more rapidly than normal.
She'll take it out of his hand just because he's fidgeting so much. She'll take a long drag off of it just to slow him down, and hands it back. Well, what is it?
You have a very steady hand, Mr. Braun. I've seen you in a pinch many times. They're not only strong in body, but I dare say strong in spirit. You've kept a level head where others have failed.
It's been challenging.
Yes, I don't doubt. I don't know what reserves of strength you draw upon, but you bear it well. I dare say it must be strange, the pressures that your father puts on you.
You are right in that it is an extremely complicated relationship.
Yes.
There are so many questions left unanswered, and I know he has sent me here for something much deeper than what we've recently discovered, and I just want to know how he ties into all of this,
Yes, of course. Mysteries within mysteries, wheels within wheels. And so it is good, don't you think, finding succor and security, comfort where one can find it, given that the world is so much more complicated than it was when the veils of childhood were pulled from our eyes.
I have to say, I've from the beginning of our journey together, I'm not the same person that I was. I can't. How is it that you could see the things that we have seen? Know it, you and I.
Yes.
We know that they're real.
Yes, we understand.
And Carter and Margot. I mean, we know that it is real, and it is. And how is it that I just feel like walking through this world where everybody else is enjoying themselves and can carefree. It feels like walking through a dream. How is it that you can just carry on?
Mr. Braun, your strength and alacrity of mind never cease to amaze. You're describing precisely how I felt upon returning from the war. So I was walking through a dream. That everyone else had found the capacity to wake, but I was still somehow asleep with no way of communicating to them what nightmares I had beheld. And now even more so, but you understand. There is a great comfort in that. And I think you also understand what duty is. Duty to an institution of learning, duty to a family, and the expectations that one must bear, the burdens that one must bear, and how
there are those, yes,
and how much of a comfort it is when there can be one who understands you, who could bear some moiety of that burden. I will come out with it, Mr. Braun. When I left for Nepal, and parts unknown, the circuit that brought me to Peru, my family expected me to return with a treasure of a sort that I did not return with, and they're certainly expecting me to return with it this time. So much to say that I believe I'm speaking to one who understands me. I'm afraid nerves have robbed me of the ability to speak, so I will be blunt. Mr. Braun, would you consider ever, fulfilling the duties that your father has put you to, and that my mother expects of me, and have you given every thought to the subject of matrimony?
To be honest, to be perfectly honest, before we had ventured off on this mystery that's unfolding, I thought that if I ever found a person that I would want to be betrothed to, that it would have to be not due to status and due to fulfilling some sort of need of expectations from my family. I always thought that if I did, it would be because I just couldn't bear to be away from them.
Yes, of course. You are a better person than I.
But
Mr. Braun, you must think me a terrible coward.
No, listen. Go on. I understand the situation that you're in, and I mean, I can't fully understand. I just know that it must be very difficult on you. And I'm trying, I can't say that I fully understand, but you have my deepest empathy of being forced to live in a manner that doesn't bring you any joy. And so, if it does help with any sort of familial tension, I can say to you as your friend that I would help you in any way that you need. But I want you to understand, Vaughn, that these things that we're facing are so far beyond the normal pressures of life. These things that we've seen that can't be explained outside of the four of us. The things that we're uncovering, it's not just a danger to us, but at some point it's a danger to all of us, to this whole world. And I've seen you struggling. I have. But you need to, whatever thing that gives you strength, whatever thing that gives you hope, I need you to dig down and find that within you, because you need to be strong enough to fight this, because if we can't, then what hope is there for this whole world?
Your words are a great comfort to me, Miss Gibran. Would that I had the reserves of strength that you seem to possess and bear so gracefully. I am attempting to draw strength from faith, and yet I am not the first to contend with the silence of the Almighty when the legions of darkness appear so articulate. But you, I get some strength from you, from Fräulein Sauer, God, even from Tillinghast. And, I will be strong for you. And consider my offer. I know that I cannot be the man that you need or that you desire, but, I will never judge you for any fulfillment that you would need to seek elsewhere. And I know that I hope that you would not judge me for the same.
I would never.
But there are certain duties that one must bear. You understand? I've said my piece and said too much. Give it consideration. And he will kind of stand up, and you've been more patient than I would be under similar circumstances. And he'll take a huge drink of whatever was sitting on the table and walk away. Okay.
Just leaving Favors there, dumbfounded, as Margot and Carter come stumbling back.
Just drenched from the pool.
Drenched from the pool with like
my
towels.
goodness. That was so fun.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
Oh, man. What's going on? He just looks at Favors. What's up, sourpuss?
Nothing. Just a lot to consider.
Where did Vaughn go?
He needed to step out for some fresh air.
Oh.
Where were you?
We were at the water slide.
So they have a water slide. Have you heard of this? It's a slide with
I've
water.
never heard of any such thing.
Yeah, you go through, you scream, you land in the pool. It's wonderful.
Like from a children's playground,
It's like
I think
but
it's
water.
Yeah, there was like a line, there was like a sign, and it had a line that said you must be this high, and we were well over. Well, Margot just barely, but we
I
got
did
right
not
in
go.
there. Yeah, Margot just watched. I was splashing around.
So funny.
I'm not much
I
of a
was pretty
swimmer,
hilarious.
but sounds like you two had much more fun than any of these people. She's like looking and dancing around, not Vaughn, but like she's just looking at everybody else, just kind of, people watching everybody just trying to draw attention to themselves and wanting to be seen.
These people, they never think about death. So how could you truly have fun if you don't think about death often,
They're not
all the
punk.
time?
Yeah.
I have, in the short time that we've been away from each other, have missed you so much.
Bring it in, guys. And Carter's all soggy.
And the three of you hug, and we just cut to Vaughn, who has maybe walked outside to get some fresh air.
Bracing.
It's cold. You're alone on the side of the ship, just looking up at the moon, the only thing you see on the horizon. And maybe in the distance you hear the band striking up an instrumental version of Me and My Shadow. And you turn. And you look back to the moon. It's just this group of dark clouds seems to go in front of it and blot it out for a moment. And we'll be back right after this break. We've probably put out thousands of episodes at this point. It feels like that. And that was a network first. Do I hear wedding bells?
You mean the water slide, right?
The water slide, yes. The first water slide in network history. And also a really good scene with Ross and Noura.
Yeah, it was fun. Whatever.
But yeah, all right. So this boat ride, a lot of people probably like, and you're in London. Nope. We just raised the stakes. Let's talk a little bit about London. Again, I don't want to bore people too much with the history, but if you're into this, either as a listener or as a player, I think it may be helpful to kind of set the scene of what London is like in 1920s. I was never a big history guy; just wasn't my jam. I liked math, but I think it's important to not important, but it could be helpful for generations leading up to this point. London and its suburbs comprise the greatest city known to man. Approximately 7.5 million people live in the greater London area as of the time of you arriving. Not only the largest, London is also the wealthiest city in the world. It wouldn't be until much later that New York would overtake the sprawling city on the Thames. But at the time of our story, London is the queen of civilization and, of course, the heart of the British Empire. However, it's right around this time that the cracks are beginning to show. As they write so eloquently in the book, a dark scar lies beneath the fields of England. The Great War claimed a generation, with most families losing at least 2 of their number in the conflict. And for many of the aristocracy, heirs have been lost. Servants no longer serve, and the power once guaranteed by bloodline is being usurped by nouveau riche industrialists. Behind the facade of the Roaring Twenties, the British class system, exactly at this time, is slowly bleeding to death. There are labor strikes all over the place. People want more pay. They want better conditions. This never happened before World War I. And those going about London streets are likely to see picket lines all over the place. Modernization is starting to grip London, but the overall economic position of England is not so good. There was a bit of a boom at the end of the Great War, but by 1920, the economy has slumped, and industries like coal, which used to be the thing, are in steep decline. Unemployment rose when servicemen returning from the front couldn't get hired, couldn't find any jobs, which only added to the general rise of joblessness that wouldn't dissipate until the onset of the Second World War. Everywhere you're going to go about London, signs of unemployment and poverty are noticeable everywhere, and the jobless are seen wandering London streets, if not looking for jobs, agitating for political change. It is a city in the midst of discombobulation, and that is where you find yourselves when you arrive in Southampton and take a train to London. 9 days it takes you. It was a bit of a weather situation on the back end of your trip. But 9 days later, you are in London. You have a lot of options for accommodation. There are cheap hotels in the slums where you can sidle up next to criminals and lowlifes, but also keep a low profile. If that's something you want to do. There are B&Bs just outside of London proper, in the more suburban and rural areas of the English countryside, maybe on the way to Eagles Grange. And then there are grand hotels like the Ritz, the Savoy, Claridge's and Brown's, and another Waldorf, oddly enough, all of which are located in central London, along with some less glamorous options like the Cavendish, Grosvenor Court, and the Langham. So be thinking about where you want to stay. And the last thing I'll say is, 1920s London is known for the London fog, the peculiars, as they call it, because of the coal fires and factory pollution in this age of industrialization. Also called the pea supers, the fogs were so dense and unpredictable that people would often find navigation almost impossible. And the fog would be in various colors. It's not just like gray fog. Sometimes it would be yellow, brown, green fog, and you can feel it on your skin. It's damp. It's cloying everywhere you go. And we'll say it's that greenish gray fog that you find yourselves in as your train splits the fog and arrives in London Station. Got a few leads. It's midday. You want to find a hotel? You want to hit the ground running? You want to get a bite to eat? What do you want to do?
Wow.
So we
World's
want
our
to
oyster.
start with Mickey, probably, right? Do we want to do that immediately, or?
I feel like
What
we
time-
shouldn't
what
go to
time
the
of the
cop
day is
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
What time of day is
Midday?
it?
midday, around about noon.
Yeah, midday. I'd say probably noon 30.
We got the
Do we
scoop.
want to figure out where our lodgings are before we start, or do we want to go right for looking for the scoop?
She says to her fiance.
Just decided. I don't know.
I guess
Pen-
I could drop
Possible.
off my shotgun at wherever we stay.
She just comes out of the train with it on her shoulder. Greetings, Londoners.
Vaughn has a huge trunk that is like maybe kind of they've wrestled onto a cab or something and is. Yes, I suppose we should find a lodging.
Jesus, Vaughn, I can't see shit. What is this? This is some Hound of the Baskervilles kind of crap.
Yeah, well, yes, Tillinghast, I told you I didn't so much care for the environs of London. This is part of the reason. This sort of this atmospheric miasma that blows up from time to time. My
God
God.
damn.
Although it does smack of home. It gets a lung full of green fog.
Yeah, where are we gonna hole up?
Yes, rule Britannia and all that. Where's, let's see, well, we have been living rather high on the hog, as
so
you
we should keep it
Americans say. So, keep it going, you say? We should not... Yes, what am I saying? I wouldn't be caught dead at Grosvenor's. To the Ritz!
Well,
Let me show you a
Okay,
map of
well-
London while you guys are discussing here.
I mean, they got a. Where did we stay up before?
I've added it to your sidebar there, and then I've blown it up, but it shows you kind of where everything is, and they've even included where the scoop is, number 13 on the list.
Holy smoke.
we should probably go where they're least asked questions, or least be suspicious.
Homie, just the handouts in this game.
Right?
These letters are... I mean, I feel like my tone is reading complaining, but it's like it's only because like our window is so tight for these recordings, and I would just want to pour over these for hours. I got to do it in my own time. This map has a key with like 45 bullet points on it.
In the smallest font, like. Oh, there we go. Okay, I
You
expanded
don't
it.
know where South Wark Bridge is?
Oh, what does all of this mean?
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, and this is really to give you a sense of London, not to be like, hey, there's an encounter in all 45 of those. It's just to give you the lay of the land, and obviously
These are mini quests.
These are all 45 mini quests, like Skyrim. You don't have to do all of them, but you. It just, Masks is known for its handouts. I mean, honestly, the box set comes with book 1, book 2, and then a thing that's just as thick with all of the handouts from here. And this map is beautiful. But this is London at the time of your arrival here. And, you're thinking the Ritz, huh?
Yeah, okay.
All the things on here, I don't know if the Ritz is listed.
Or the Waldorf. We've got a good connection with them until the walls are ripped out by giant
You probably
talons.
have the club card. You get like a
right.
discount.
I suppose that's a fallback.
Yeah.
We've gotten used to it.
Well, the advantage of going to a higher end place is that as long as we're spending the money, nobody really pays too much attention to what you're doing.
Yes.
if we are staying at very meager accommodations, we may have a little more anonymity, but do we really? Because we might stick out even more and then face the dangers of possibly being, having things stolen.
Yes.
So.
And to being observed. That is, one must always be on one's guard. Remember that Elias was on the trail of something here.
Right.
And, even though the soup is in the air, there are eyes everywhere.
Right, so a rich place, right?
Yes.
Yes, let's do, so
I'm looking at a map here. The Ritz, by the way, is just north of Buckingham Palace, which is number 39.
I don't know if it has to be that nuts. I'm suddenly like concerned about Vaughn's like bank
sweating a
account.
little.
That gives me a great idea. What do you think? Should we talk to the queen? Should we get an audience with her and just talk to her about this kind of otherworldly threat that's going on? Maybe we get knighted.
Just talk about tentacles over tea.
Yeah.
No.
Like the BFG that hasn't been written yet.
It would be George V, I think, at this time.
Oh, right, shit. Well, maybe he would talk to his daughter.
You could speak to the queen, and that would be a good way of getting into the case.
Like 10.
Tillinghast, this isn't some hillock bumpkin situation like the swampy little Washington, D.C., where I can just walk up without an appointment and shake Woodrow Wilson's hand.
We should probably discuss some sort of backstory reason why we're here.
Oh, we just go up to her. We say, "Hey, we're colonizers. You
Not
like us?"
royalty. I mean, when we go visit anywhere, when we're going to find information,
Yes,
we can't just be like, "Hey, we saw a bunch of weird shit, and now we're looking for information that our dead friend left us."
Too right.
What is our cover?
Well, when Jackson himself was moving in these circles, it was to gather information for his writings.
Yeah.
To be an author. Perhaps,
So we are collective on.
Yes, like Carter with your book. I can say for my art.
Well, we've got Jonah Kensington we can name drop. We're here. It's going to be illustrated by Margot. It's written by me, of course.
Favors is doing the research.
Research.
Yes.
And Vaughn's sort of our translator.
He is our benefactor.
yes, there we are.
I'm doing the illustrations for the book.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
All right, I think that could work.
It's a good cover, guys. Man, we're already at it.
There's a place on the Key called Gray's Inn if we don't want to be like too wild and fancy, and it's nearby where the scoop is. It's number 5.
Gray's Inn.
So I don't know like what area that is.
That's also
but
9 is the Penhew Foundation, so we're also kind of close to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then the British Museum is nearby, so like maybe it's a fine middle of the
I
road
believe
place.
Gray's Inn isn't
I can
an
go see all the
actual-
artifacts of my
Yes,
people.
Gray's Inn isn't so much an inn as it is a neighborhood. Sort of a...
Well, so why would they name it an inn?
I can
This
see Margot
fucking
looking at a
city.
map. I found a place.
I found
to
the
stay.
inn.
Yes, it's one of the inns of court, you see, Fräulein Sauer.
I hate this place.
Yeah.
Why would you?
What about Jack the Ripper? Is he around?
Oh, do they have
My
like a
God,
tour?
I should hope not.
I should hope not.
Like-
Isn't he like the
Like
prince
they
or
do
something?
they do in Hollywood.
That's not a theory I've heard.
I think he was late.
Late 19th century?
Yeah, like
Carter's just like,
1880s.
I read from hell. I know what's going on here.
I see. Another...
Well,
So are we doing something more location?
I think the audience wants to see us continue to figure out where we're going to stay.
Only to have me be like, I'm sorry, we don't have any rooms left at the Cavendish.
Perfect.
Certainly not for a
this for 30
German.
more minutes.
Let's go to some upper crusty place that's not too uncomfortable for Vaughn, but that's comfortable for us.
I
We don't
am
wanna-
used to a certain, although I have been living it rough for several years after the war, but we've grown so used to the Waldorf. Why don't we return to its arms?
Yeah.
And Favorite
Just like
kind of
going home.
mentally checks a box like, well, He likes nice places.
It could be worse.
Mental checklists of like how to make it work.
Mr. Right.
Like a pros and cons.
Pro.
Yes.
Has money.
Pro has money.
Just a dollar sign.
Insane.
Has tried to kill us several times.
Looking
Yes,
at the
to
an
the
actual
Waldorf.
Google map here, it appears that the Waldorf is right around where like 15 is near the Royal Courts of Justice. 18, like right to the north of the bend there.
Yes.
Right to the north of the Waterloo Bridge, perhaps. If I'm looking at this correctly, yeah, actually, that's exactly where it is. If you were to take the Waterloo Bridge, it is on that road.
Not too far from the scoop.
Yes, not too far from the Scoop, and now currently owned by Hilton. All right, so
Great.
you check in, and they take you to your room, and it's the same exact room number that you had in New York. So you're just like, that's eerie. Oh, yes, so we have a room for you right now. Blah, 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 blah. Guy takes you up, takes a tip, leaves you in this room, and it is beautiful, styled completely differently, completely different layout. But it does have a balcony. I imagine that's the first thing Margot sees. Balcony.
They
I
should
check for
bar that
emergency
door.
exits.
Just check behind the curtain in the bathroom.
No
Good.
tentacles.
No tentacles, no dead bodies, no masks. I
Check for
think we're good.
tentacles.
Yeah.
And then do you want to, after you, do a little unpacking, maybe head over to the Scoop?
Yeah.
Yeah. A little freshen up.
Scoop.
All
Little
right.
zhuzh to the hair.
Little zhuzh action.
This fog is really fucking with Carter's hair.
Yeah, I imagine everyone's a little frizzy.
Droopy.
The offices of the Scoop are easily found on the third floor of a shabby building in Fleet Street, not far from Ludgate Circus.
Sweeney Todd style.
That's right, yeah. I know nothing about London, but yes, I recognize things like that. You get there and you take a lift
Oh.
up to the third floor,
Jargon.
and there is a sign, and it's just says the Scoop, and it's kind of like in a, it's not very classy looking.
Wow,
The
all
door is-
caps.
It's all caps. The Scoop.
With an exclamation point.
The Scoop! Exclamation point.
I'm excited for
And,
this. There's nothing classier than a London newspaper.
You knock, I'm assuming, and a like little thing in the door, like a little window opens, and you see this guy's eyes. He's like, "How can I help you?"
Oh boy. I turned to the party. He was like, just listen to that brogue. It could be none other than the notorious Irishman Mickey Mahoney.
You're not. I have to ask you. Are you police?
Oh, far from it, no.
Are you the spouse of someone that we wrote a scathing column about?
Do you have a lot of those?
Well, we write a lot of sensational stories here. We get a lot of people that aren't happy with what we write. Just making sure you're not here looking for trouble.
Oh,
who
no,
are
no,
you?
not at all. We're
How many are you back there?
researchers and such, writers working on a book. Nothing scathing at all.
Researchers.
Just wanted to see if you would be able to assist us in the research that we're doing.
Yes, we're representatives of a small imprint called Prospero House. Do I have the pleasure of speaking to the esteemed writer Mickey Mahoney?
Mickey Mahoney, yeah, that's me.
Yes,
The
we're
editor-in-chief here of the Scoop.
Ah, well, no idea.
I
was
see
speaking
my
to the editor
reputation
of this
precedes
August
itself.
publication. Yes, indeed. Well, we are not
Can't
only.
even be.
Oh boy.
Rob is
You
out.
just see like red hair bouncing in this little window.
I'm just inventing a shamrock shake.
Oh my god.
I see you've read you know of my work.
Yes, we know of your work somewhat, but more so we know of your friends, for we too are friends of Mr. Jackson Elias.
Jackson Elias. Hold on. He shuts the window, and then you hear like unlock, 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 unlock. He opens the door. Please, come in. kind of looks at Carter.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a Yank.
It's more the mask.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
He is. You see him. He's got like a flop sweat under a t-shirt with not t-shirt. Like a white button-down shirt with suspenders. Just sweaty armpits. He's way overweight. He's got armpits. He's got red hair that's kind of all over the place, and he's got a cigar in his hand that he kind of puts in his mouth, and he's like, please, come in, sit. And he brings you into this tiny little office. It's got like, there's a couple of guys just sitting there smoking cigarettes by a typewriter, and they just kind of look at you. Maybe they double take when they see Carter, and then they go back to...
Yep, I'm American.
Just like typing away one finger at a time, and he's like, please come back into my office here, have a seat. And he just kind of brushes off a couch that had like food and newspapers on it. Have a seat. You say you're friends of Jackson Elias?
Yes.
The wires were abuzz about his passing, even all the way over here. I know there are murders all the time in New York City, but that one was particularly gruesome enough so that
we
it
saw
was.
It. We saw it face first.
You saw it. You saw the murder. I don't understand.
Oh wait, hold on. This is off the record, just so you know.
Well, we
Scribbled in your rag.
We didn't
I
see the
understand.
murder. We didn't see the murder.
No, we saw the aftermath.
We were there shortly after.
It came
I
too
can
late.
assure you, normally I would run with a story like this. Salacious stories are our bread and butter around here, but Mr. Elias was a kind man when we met, and it would be in poor taste. So rest assured, anything you tell me with regards to Jackson Elias, at least, if you saw any of the local starlets changing in the bathroom and took some pictures, I'll take those. But as it pertains to Mr. Elias, I won't be writing any stories about that.
Okay, appreciate that.
Yes, well,
It's the timing of everything that is very curious and suspicious, since we do know that he was here very shortly before all of this happened to him. And so we're just trying to piece together what he might have learned about, who he was speaking to. We just, in addition to what we're trying to find out, we just would really, as friends, like some closure on the situation.
Can I ask, did they ever find out who did it? It sounded like that he was eviscerated, and maybe there was something carved on his body somewhere.
as we said, Mr. Mahoney, we saw the aftermath. We arrived too late and saw precisely what those blackguards had done to him. Yes. The abominable cruelty that they executed on poor Mr. Elias. Well, perhaps your publication, as he maybe looks at some of the issues on the wall, traffics in that sort of bloodshed. If it bleeds, it leads and all that. Well, let me assure you, Mr. Mahoney, it bled. He was butchered, sir.
And did they catch those responsible for it?
They
Not
got
only
caught.
they, but we.
Oh, God, just horrible. He was such a kind man, maybe a bit touched, but very sweet, good conversationalist. He was here in London and met with me a few months back. He promised me a story about an evil cult operating right here in the heart of the city.
Wait,
can I-
excuse me.
Yes.
Did you say, operating here in the heart of the city?
That's
In
what he
London?
said. That's what he said. He was looking for information and wanted to look through some of our back issues, which I had to tell him, even though I'm a fan of our work here, it's not exactly all true. But he seemed to be interested in what we had to say, and so I let him have at it. We had some good chats, and he believed there was a cult operating right here in London, and hinted that it might have some higher up connections, but he didn't have any hard proof, or at least he didn't show me any hard proof. Sadly, I never got the story from him. I would love to have it, though, if your travels here uncover any dark truths. In fact, I'll give you 15 English pounds if you can bring me all the sexy details.
Holy moly! What's a pound?
It's like $75.
Oh shit!
We have very good reason to believe that this very cult was the one that was responsible for his death, perhaps as a chapter
You're saying
in our own vicinity.
he was murdered by a cult in New York, and that
Oh,
cult.
we know he was murdered by a
No, he was murdered by a cult, and that cult may be the same cult that he was researching here.
We have
Does
reason to
Nat
believe
have to be
that
same.
it would have to be, yes. That this organization is not limited in scope to New York, or it seems London, but is rather global.
Well, he never mentioned the name of the cult, nor did he even talk about any of his evolving suspicions. He was keen to browse through our back issues and picked out some stories that caught his eye. If it's helpful to you, you're welcome to look yourself. I remember there were 3 stories in particular that he was really interested in. Maybe I remember the titles because I wrote them, but I don't remember what they pertain to. You're welcome to look through our back issues. If I give you the titles, you're welcome to look through if it could bring some peace to your mind, and if it were to lead to a story that I could perhaps publish one day, maybe we could do a little quid pro quo here, and I'll leave your friend Jackson out of it. I'm not looking to make any money off of a tragedy, but there might be an opportunity here. You know, a lot of power in the press.
Yes.
Oh, I'm a writer myself. I understand what you're talking about.
You're a writer. Well,
Yes.
and what have you written?
It's in progress. It's a novel.
Novelist, are you?
Oh, of great magnitude.
Wow, good for you. Well, I can see Jackson kept good company. Can I
we
ask
knew.
you? I don't mean to pry, but I'm a curious man. What happened to your face? Are you a veteran?
I'm a veteran of circumstance, one might say.
Aren't we all?
Yes. I have been in many life-threatening situations. My face was damaged in a more innocuous fashion by what we in America called a horse.
Are you saying you were kicked in the face by a horse?
I was kicked in the face by a horse.
And you lost half your face from it?
Do you know how strong a horse is, especially its hindquarters?
All too well.
Yeah.
Feyru's standing slightly behind is like, he's lying. It was a sexual accident.
It was a sexual accident with a horse. Wait, what am I saying? No, don't write that. No. It was a horse kicked me in the face. My unfortunate deceased
You want
bride.
a salacious tale.
We don't need to get into it now, Feyruz.
No,
All right,
I'm trying to
Brainiac.
leverage.
We got
I'm trying
it.
to leverage.
We
Listen.
need those titles for the stories. We need to trade for some salacious.
We don't need to get into my face
He
and
looks
what
for a
happened
pencil
to it.
on his desk and just starts scribbling something.
No. Don't write anything
No,
down. That's-
it's just, I just have an idea for something.
No, keep it off the record.
Oh,
On
yes,
the
the
QC.
sort of,
hush, hush.
The sort of equine escapade that these two are describing is an
what
epidemic
is-
in the States.
There's no Captain the Great action over here. Listen, what we want to
Half-faced
know is...
man. Yes.
And might I add, involved was a very eligible industrialist's daughter
Oh, the plot thickens.
to sweeten the pot there for you.
All right, well, I'll help you any way I can, and in turn, if things work out, maybe you come back, you give me the full story, I'll zhuzh it up, and we'll
Yeah.
be selling papers.
I'm
It'll be
not
great,
comfortable.
win-win.
Okay. Listen, can we just... What are the 3 stories?
I'm sorry, well, the 3 stories that he
Jesus.
was most interested in, I must have rewrote them from wire, string, or copy. I can't remember. To give him that little extra whoosh. Now, I don't know if he followed up on any of these stories. Elias, your friend, he seemed rushed and rather desperate every time I met with him. In fact, increasingly so as he came back to look around. He'd come around here a couple times, looked at these articles, and then just left as quickly as he had come and went back to New York last I heard. And I never saw him again. But anyhow, I remember the headlines there. I don't remember what they were about. There was some of my best. What was it? One was it almost had me. Wouldn't that make you see that on the front page of the Scoop? What almost had you? You'd buy that fucking paper.
Was there like a very cool illustration at the front of it of what almost had them?
No, we don't. We sometimes we'll take photos and we'll try to embellish them a little bit, but we don't have an artist on staff. Times are a little tough here.
Maybe I could trade you.
We have an amazing artist.
You're an artist.
Also a photographer.
A photographer as well. Well, we always need a photographer.
I have some pretty sick photos from New York.
Sick photos from New York. You're speaking my language. Now, if you head over and find one of the royals in their underwear, I'll give you
All right. Look,
20 pounds.
It almost had me as one of them. What else?
I don't know. It almost had me! Exclamation point. What's the other one? Police baffled by monstrous murders!
Well, what else?
Exclamation point.
Uh-huh.
I like to end most of my headlines with exclamation points. I feel like it really draws the listener in.
Just
Reader.
really yell at them.
Yes, you don't end only your headlines, Mr. Mahoney, but your patterns of speech are punctuated by exclamations as well.
I have not talked to another person in weeks. I've been waiting to roleplay this since episode 1. Anyhow, police baffled by monstrous murders.
I've been watching Far and Away this for months.
And then what was the other one? Oh, this one has 2 exclamation points. Ready? What was it? Fuck, I can't remember. Slaughter continues. Wait. Reward offered. Exclamation point. Slaughter continues. Reward offered. And I'll be damned if I can remember what they were about. Truth be told, I probably use those headlines over and over again for other stories. We kind of recycle things from time to time when it's a slow news day. Sometimes I'll just make shit up. That's what the Scoop is. It's kind of it's a little fun time. Sometimes there's a little bit of truth in there. And then sometimes you meet a guy from New York that's tied up with some cult stuff. And he's got a friend who's an author who gets kicked in the face by a horse while he's having sex with her. I mean, there's all sorts of crazy stuff that you can write about. Anyways, feel free to head back into the room with all those things and do some rolls, and maybe you'll find the stories. And you always have a home here at the Scoop. You bring me some stories, I let you know what I know.
Great. That's great.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mahoney. You've been ever so helpful.
Yeah, let's
Thank
head
That's
back.
what they say about old Mickey Mahoney, the most helpful guy in London. All right, I gotta go write a fake story.
Okay.
Have fun.
Just clicks
Go look
his
for that
heels.
shit. Bye.
Oh my god.
And he
What does this pile look like? It's just like,
I mean, there's just back issue, and they're boxes, and they're labeled by month, day, and year, and so there might be some sort of pattern to how they all work. Sounds like the your classic library use roll to try and make heads or tails of this.
Yep, let's try this out. No whammy. Hard success.
oh,
Hard success. All right, this would normally take 1d4 plus 1 hours to try and find, but with a successful roll, not only that, a hard success, less than an hour, you're able to track down these articles. Maybe since Jackson was digging through them, and not a lot of people are digging through the back issues of the Scoop, they're like dog-eared or sticking out from the boxes. They were a little bit easier to find once you figured out the system. So, obviously, we were talking about handouts earlier. I'm going to have handouts of each of these. Let's take a look at what they are. I just love the map up here. Oh, man. The Call of Cthulhu handout game is like no other. Oh, I should also show you, I mentioned earlier the shit you found in, whatchamacallit, in Jackson's hotel room, the Pennu Foundation card. Did you see that in your little...
No, I can't possibly imagine it, though. It's a business card, you say?
It's a business card. I can't find it. But anyways, there's so much shit here. I can't find anything. Where are my handouts? Here are my handouts. Okay. Here it is. This is the, that's the business card for Edward Gavigan, the director of the Pennu Foundation.
Yes.
35
good.
Tottenham Court Road, London, Westhurst.
We'll be paying a visit to you.
All right. So it almost had me. Who wants to give this one a read?
Ah. Almost had me.
I okay.
Okay.
Oh, please, Noura.
Go for it.
Oh no. Go for it.
Yeah, Fairuz pulls it out and then Carter rips it out of her hand. I got this one. It's in English. Great. It Almost Had Me by Mickey Mahoney. Oh, we met that guy from a correspondent. Glasgow resident. Glasgow, what the fuck?
That's Glasgow.
Glasgow. Oh, right. Yeah, Scotland. Mr. Alan McGann had an unwelcome encounter with a... First of all, guys, why the fuck did you say I fucked a horse?
You said you fucked the horse.
I didn't say I fucked a horse.
I was trying to direct it more towards a debutante.
I don't know why we even started to bargain. It
why do we
seems to
talk
me as though
about
he
my
was going to give it
face?
to us for nothing.
We have to live. Don't you want
Okay.
to be written about? I thought that's what you wanted.
All right, whatever. I'm going to read
I
it.
didn't know how much he was on our side or not.
So much to say, Tillinghast. Now this Mahoney chap thinks that you're some sort of prevert, so
Thanks,
best keep
guys.
up the front.
Yeah,
Well,
appreciate it. Thanks so much. Great impression to make in this country. Glasgow resident Mr. Alan McGann had an unwelcome encounter with a monster of darkness while making his way home this last October. On hearing wails and cries, a police officer arrived to find Mr. McGann in distress and removed him to the local station where he was able to give a statement. Quote, it was like, should I do this in a British accent? It was like turning suddenly, knowing something was there, only to find... Oh wait, he's from
this
Glasgow.
guy's Scottish.
Like turning suddenly, knowing something was there. I'm not gonna do this. Only to find nothing. A nothing possessing hideous life. The dank smell of the fog was replaced by the foul stench of smoldering hair, which reached out and filled my lungs and made it hard to breathe. I began to choke. It meant to kill me. I couldn't see it, only feel its terrible fingers filling my mouth and nose. Readers visiting Scotland are advised to be cautious on nighttime rambles in the Glasgow area and to be on the lookout for invisible monsters down dark alleys. This is not a reputable publication, I feel like.
Yes, this is the sort of thing that I'd be prone to chalk up to so much stuff and nonsense had we not seen creatures of the blackest pit ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's the other one. Police baffled by monstrous murders.
I'll read this one.
Yeah, you can read that one.
Let me expand this. Come on now. All right. Police baffled by monstrous murders! Exclamation point. All caps. Killer beast shot but still alive? Question mark. Derwent Valley residents, shocked last month by 2 murders and a serious assault on 3rd victim, are still without a satisfactory explanation or perpetrator of the dreadful attacks. At the time, Lesser Edal, is that a location? Lesser Edal.
Yes.
Lesser Edel farmer George Osgood and resident Lydia Perkins were torn to shreds in apparently unrelated murders on consecutive nights. On the 3rd night, wheelwright Harold Short was nearly killed but managed to drive off his attacker, which he described as a grisly creature, quote unquote. Let's see. According to the Lesser Edel Constabulary, the rabid dog was shot and killed on the night of Mr. Short's attack. The police believe this matter to be closed. Nevertheless, local residents have subsequently claimed to have seen and heard a strange beast lurking about the area. Reportedly, the good folks of Lesser Edel still endure sleepless nights due to the bizarre wailings of the beast on nights of the full moon. Readers of the Scoop are reminded of their esteemed journal's long-standing danger protocols and are advised that the picturesque claws of Devonshire Peak District have been declared to be a zone of high danger! Exclamation point. Residents of the Midlands are advised to remain indoors at night and to report all mysterious happenings to the police and to the Scoop. Are we dealing with werewolves now?
Some sort of monstrous wolf? Good Lord. and to begin in Glasgow and now to move down to the Midlands, we're just moving ever closer to...
Vaughn, what are the Midlands? Where is Lesser Edel?
Well, it's sort of between Manchester and Sheffield. So things we're smack in the middle of England.
Okay.
Oh, that clears up everything.
So we're not in London. It's not in London, is your point.
All of these places sounds made up. Fantasy fairy places.
They're not made up. They're quite real places like Oxfordshire and Stoke-on-Trent and...
Derwent Valley, Derbyshire Peak District.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you find the last one, and as you pull it out, another article falls out like it was not in the right place, stuffed within it. So you find two things. You find the one you were looking for, which is Slaughter Continues, reward offered. And then you find this other one called Shocking Canvases Craze. So, Ross, why don't you start with Slaughter Continues, reward offered.
All right. There you go. Right. Slaughter continues. Reward offered. An unidentified foreigner was found floating in the Thames last Tuesday, the 24th. Another victim in the so-called Egyptian murders. Inspector James Barrington, familiar? Of the Yard, refused to comment when asked by The Scoop. Sources exclusive to the Journal state that the victim had been beaten severely and then stabbed through the heart in a manner curiously similar to other murders that have taken place over the last 3 years. The connection seems obvious, but New Scotland Yard has yet to confirm that the deaths are connected. Inspector Barrington said his colleagues appeared baffled and no closer to catching the heinous perpetrator of these crimes. Londoners cry out, "When will our streets be safe?" Readers of The Scoop are reminded that this esteemed journal has a reward now standing at £24 sterling for information leading to the apprehension and conviction of the murderer. Be vigilant.
Be vigilant.
Egyptian murders.
Huh.
Can I roll to see if I know what that means?
Yeah.
Would it
Is
be
there a
like
particular skill you were thinking?
Well, there was the whole Cairo connection, right? Wasn't there something going?
Yeah, you've heard in your travels in New York that there seemed to be some connection to Cairo, to Egypt.
Elias
it's come
was
up from time
definitely
to time.
on the trail of certain we're lousy with letters from Egypt.
I'm
would this
just
be like-
looking at your skills that you have here. History isn't quite right. Natural world isn't quite right.
Like memory? Like
Memory would be like idea,
history?
right? Is that just intelligence?
Yeah, it'd be like an idea roll.
Let's see.
Yeah, and that's straight up intelligence.
All right, cool. Oh, I rolled a hard success on that one.
Hard success.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, you would imagine there's a significant number of Egyptian nationals living in London at this time. If there's any truth to this story whatsoever, it's sort of alluding to the fact that like they're being killed for some reason.
So Egyptian murders of perhaps Egyptian nationals. The cult of the bloody tongue was picking off people in Harlem back in New York. Perhaps there's a pattern here as well to their horrible crimes. You don't suppose they're making another one of those things?
Oh, the flesh pit thing?
I don't know. All of these murders are all very different. And I don't remember in New York they were being stabbed through the heart.
Yes, or giant wolves, and spread out over such a great distance. What's this here?
Oh, is this article?
This one's about art and surrealists. This is your line, Sour.
It's just this person sounds like fun. Shocking. I'm not going to read it in a German accent. We'll never get through it. Shocking canvases craze. Local artists' monstrous scenes mock surrealists, quote unquote. New collectors can buy savage scenes which rival or surpass the worst nightmares of the Great War, but which are far more exotic than that grim business. London artist Mr. Miles Shipley's work is being sought out by collectors who have paid up to £300 for individual paintings. This correspondent has seen a number of the works of artist Miles Shipley and finds them repulsive beyond belief. Maidens ravish, monsters ripping out a man's innards, shadowy, grotesque landscapes. We're going to get along so well. And faces grimacing in horror represent only a fraction of Shipley's nightmarish work. Margot might have to date this man. Despite their repellent,
so German.
Despite their repellent content, these works are conceived and executed with uncanny verisimilitude.
Boom, nailed it.
I was like, oh no.
Slam dunk.
Mr. Shipley's imagination is sublime, and it is almost as though the artist has worked from photographs. Oh my God.
Oh, no.
Twins of alien places, surely never of this earth. This is crazy. This artist reportedly is in contact with other dimensions in which powerful beings exist, and he merely renders visible his visions.
Whoa.
Mr. Shipley is a working class man without formal artistic training who has nonetheless made good where thousands have failed. Art critics say that Shipley provides an English answer to the continental artistic movement of surrealism. This is so funny. Whose controversial practitioners still have to convince John Bull that the way in which a thing is painted is more important than what is painted. Nothing has been so true. A tip of the hat to Mr. Shipley for exposing his frauds. This is so funny because literally the first episode, I'm like, Margot's getting into surrealism.
Yes,
we have to go see Miles Shipley.
Yeah. Sounds like a fellow traveler of yours, Sarah.
We have the same process.
Carter's like, sounds like he sucks.
I regret to say I'm with you, Tillinghast. Call me old-fashioned, but I think the thing that you paint should look like the thing you're trying to paint.
Yeah, give me some verisimilitude, am I right?
Yes, here.
But what if this man has seen things that, imagine trying to explain
Yes.
to the normal person the things that we have seen in a painting.
My God. Perhaps they're all too perhaps it's not surreal at all, but rather figurative and taken from life.
Yeah, all right, we can talk to
Yes.
him, that's fine. Whatever.
So you've got 4 sort of articles that Jackson may have been interested in. One about a sort of thing hurting, like going into people's, what does it say? Reached out and filled my lungs and made it hard to breathe. This like dank smell of the fog was replaced by the foul stench of smoldering hair, which reached out and filled my... So some sort of
That's up in
creature
Scotland.
Up in Scotland, sounds like a ghost story, right up Jackson's alley, but no, far away from here. Then you've got this London artist painting alien landscapes that he should have no business knowing about. You've got
This strange creature.
the strange creature in the countryside,
moons.
and
Yes.
Lesser
American
Dale.
Werewolf in London style.
You've got
And
the
then,
the Egyptian murders investigated by none other than a fellow that we've heard of, Mr. Inspector Barrington of Scotland Yard.
Well, that definitely piques my interest.
Yes.
But I suppose, since we're here, we can start local and expand outward.
Yes.
Yeah, so it looks like in London we've got the artist and we've got Barrington. And then whatever. There's the Midlands situation and then Scotland.
Yes, I hardly think that having just arrived in London, we should take the train up to Glasgow.
good day.
But well, I see
We're gonna
that
give Troy time to work on the Scottish accent.
I see that. Yeah, yes, making it flawless.
It's going to
See that
sound
twinkle
oddly
in
like
your
Mickey
eye,
Mahoney.
Sour. You want to see this Shipley chap, don't you?
Oh, we must. We simply must. Did you not read the article that I just read out loud to you?
I have to admit it piqued my interest as well.
He may be one of us.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, he can summon beings. Apparently. Don't you want to talk to him?
Well, seeing as how we've seen people summon beings already, this seems to be on par with what we're looking for.
Side note, didn't the first episode, Fairuz came across a spell, potentially to do this?
I thought it was like to
Yes.
raise to be like a zombie lord or something, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was checks notes. Hang on. It was a spell.
Like to raise the dead or something?
Yes, but it kind of like turns people into zombies.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of like a necromancy situation.
Some light necromancy.
It's a light necromancy.
I'm so pumped
So
for
it's-
Fairuz to go full like Gladriel when she's like, "You would make me a queen," whatever she's doing.
Beautiful and terrible.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's
so
like
you've got some
mid-afternoon
options
now?
here. I would say now you got in at mid-afternoon, you checked into the hotel, and you were like, we got time to, it's still early, let's go over to the Scoop. You've hung out at the Scoop for a little over an hour, thanks to Fairuz's library skills. You could head over to Chelsea to check in on this artist, before nightfall. You'd get there before nightfall. You could go over to Scotland Yard, or maybe you'd want to call and see if you could make an appointment with this Inspector Barrington, rather than just showing up at Scotland Yard. There's also the Penhew Foundation card that you have. Glasgow seems like let's just put that aside for now. Remember the Glasgow thing, and then you've got this countryside situation. But those are all your leads. But you went from having just a couple of leads to a couple more things. You knowing what Jackson was interested in may unlock something. So what out of all those interests you the most?
Is Eagles Grange in the Midlands? Where's Eagles Grange?
Yeah.
It's probably a couple hours out. Actually,
I'm
Ross,
not
you
saying
tell
we're
me.
going there right now. I'm just saying like
just
two
for
birds, one
curiosity.
stone, etc., etc.
That's going to have to happen. You're going to have to check
Sure.
in.
I mean, in my head, it's in Oxfordshire, but it's in the Midlands too. Yeah, it's north.
Hand wave it. Great. All right.
Yeah.
I think Carter's like, listen, in my experience, you want to let the cops know you're around last. Right? You don't want to clue in the cops to something, and then, I mean, as we've all learned, we don't need people tailing us, shaking us down in the middle of the night in
Well,
Harlem.
they've all ended up dead.
Plus, most of them died because of us, but we weren't going to get into that.
We didn't do it.
No, but we, one would say that we rope them into it, etc., etc. So I say we push. This is Carter's opinion. Is we hold off on Barrington. We hit up either the artist guy. I guess that's the only other London situation we have.
Yeah,
Or
right,
Penhew.
Or
Penhew.
Penhew. I think yes, I'm of a mind to see this artist, I suppose, and perhaps we can make an appointment with this inspector tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Great.
I
Plus,
agree.
is there prohibition in London right now? No, right? They're
They're cool.
they're chill.
That doesn't stop us anyway.
True.
Scarcely stops us, but no, your temperance societies have not made their inroads felt here.
Thank God.
All right, so you're going to head over to West London. You still got a couple hours before nightfall. Why not check it out? At least you let me know when you get there. Chelsea is in West London, River Thames to the south, Knightsbridge to the north, Belgravia to the east. The metropolitan borough of Chelsea is predominantly a lower middle class and working class area. Further from the river, the area's prosperity rises, with the upper middle class centered on Sloane Square, often considered by those living there to be really part of upmarket Knightsbridge. You get there and all of the houses are on top of each other. They're just really closely packed, with very little space between each house. But there's some shops. There's almost like a bohemian air to the area as well, outside of where everyone is living. I imagine you're arriving as people are getting out of work, so there's this sort of influx of people getting off of trains and walking to the house, and so you're walking with these crowds to the house, but eventually they get to where they need to go as you're kind of wandering looking for this address. And suddenly it gets darker out faster than you had planned, and that combined with the fog makes it a little tough to see. and you're like, oh shit, is a storm coming? Because it shouldn't be this dark this early. But, you're already here. You might as well at least case the joint, if not knock. And you're looking along these rows of houses, and suddenly the fog parts in front of the address to the Shipley residence. And it is a 2-story brick building in desperate need of repair. Every window is barred. You see what looks like a brick wall in the back of the building. Maybe there's like a backyard that is covered by a brick wall. And then just large, unkempt trees sort of ominously covering the whole house. And all you see beyond them are the barred windows, rather. And you approach, and you feel like all at once, a bunch of curtains on all the neighboring buildings are just being parted ever so slightly to look at you, and then quickly close. And we'll see you next week.
Oh my God.
In Chelsea. It all came back to Chelsea.
I mean, is it Chelsea in New York? Is it Chelsea in London? You know what I mean? It all connects.
It almost had me.
It almost had me.
Woo!
Man.